Yo, what is going on? Cover One crew, Chris Chow's back again. Hope everybody's doing awesome out there. It is a game day, baby. We got a good one tonight. It is the Baltimore Ravens taking their talents to Tampa Bay to face the Buccaneers. And I mean, we've seen some struggle here and there from both these quarterbacks. It's going to be interesting, but we are going to be covering Boomer Bust. Who's going to do better? Leonard Fournette, Uncle Lenny versus Gus the Bus Edwards. Who's going to have the better day for your fantasy team? It's a great way to, help you guys set your lineups and set your rosters. And we will be covering everybody else on these respective teams in terms of start sit. So let's get to it, man. Let's go. So let's start off with Gus the Bus Edwards. He comes back from that ACL injury, and we know the Baltimore Ravens coaching staff absolutely loves themselves a little Gus Edwards. He did fairly well in his first game back, 16 attempts, 66 yards, 4.1 on the average, 2 rushing touchdowns. Got you a very nice, payday in fantasy football, almost 20 points, was like 18.6. He did very well in his return. He looked good, efficient, no hampering on the knee, so you got to expect him to at least take the bulk load of the touches once again. Kenyon Drake saw a backseat in that respect, but for the Ravens rushing attack overall, 66 total yards for Gus Edwards wasn't overly abundant in statistical achievement, but as a team, they do rush the ball still pretty well at 156.3 rush yards per game, a nice 5.4 on the average and 6 touchdowns, but a lot of that does come from Lamar Jackson's rushing upside. Kenyon Drake did have a good game, but J.K. Dobbins still dealing with that knee, so they're going to have to lean on a Gus Edwards to get this run game going a lot versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Average 8-man box fronts that these running backs do see in Baltimore this year is quite staggering. It is tops in the NFL, 47.62 stacked box rates. It is a big, a heavy deal that they got to, overcome. But that just shows that a lot of teams are not respecting the run game that Baltimore does possess at this point. Hopefully, Gus Edwards can change that and drop that 8-man front percentage just a little bit. Efficiency, we don't have it on Gus Edwards right now because it is a minimum of 40 attempts on the season, but he did look good in his return, so you got to feel very good about what it was, what the potential future is going to be, especially with how they kind of faded a Kenyon Drake and gave Gus a lot of the workload. When it comes to Uncle Lenny, Leonard Fournette, he's looking like he's had better days in the rush upside, but he is saving his days in the receiving game, that's for sure. 7 games, 103 in attempts, 362 in yards, 3.5 on the average, hence is why it's not doing very well in Tampa Bay on the rushing upside. 1 rushing touchdown, but he is saving your days every single week. 34 receptions, 239, and 3 touchdowns in the receiving game. The Bucs rushing upside is not there this season. 64.4 rush yards per game. They just cannot run the ball. Yes, they did lose some offensive linemen to injury here in Tampa Bay. Maybe this is part of the problem in why they're struggling offensively, but they cannot get this ground game going. Uncle Lenny does look a lot slower, like he's got a couple trailers attached to his back, but maybe we start to see a little bit more Rachaad White, but we're already hearing that for a few weeks now. Has not come to fruition. They continue to utilize the check down passes to an Uncle Lenny, which is why his upside still continues to be very good. 8-man fronts not so bad, 21.36%. They see 8-man boxes stacked up against him, so Uncle Lenny doesn't have that necessarily to contend with on a large amount of their plays. Yes, Tampa Bay is also passing the ball a lot more than they are running the ball, so this is also indicating why these rushing numbers are so low. Uncle Lenny, though, in that matter of fact, is on the rushing efficiency rates, 4.33%, 7th last in the NFL out of all running backs that are 40 carries and that much more. It is not a good look for Uncle Lenny on the rushing aptitude, so you got to hope every single week now he's getting those checkdowns, he's getting the rushing upside, and he finds his way into the end zone via the receiving game. It is not a good thing that, you're banking on a lot of these passes coming to Uncle Lenny, especially with potential that Julio Jones could return in this game, but there is some good upside because Russell Gage will not play, obviously, in this contest. When we talk about those Baltimore Ravens for start, sit, lineup advice, we got to say Lamar Jackson Jackson, okay, he still is one of the darlings at the quarterback position in fantasy football, 162.9 fantasy points right now, but he did see a lot of struggle last week. Not sure what really was happening. They just were out of sync the entire contest. Did not look good overall. The Ravens, they were shut down in terms of Mark Andrews. He saw one of his worst contests of the season. I want to even say in his entire career. They double and triple teamed that man, took him away, and Lamar Jackson just could not find other wide receivers to take over in that respect. Maybe that's kind of how the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will play these Baltimore Ravens this week on Thursday Night Football as well. I still got Lamar as a low risk, obviously, because it is a Lamar Jackson. You're not going to put him on the bench. You're going to fire him up. But I will remove the stud start this week because I want to see Lamar Jackson bounce back, and I really hope he gets out of that funk in this contest versus Tampa Bay. Gus Edwards also gets a low-risk play for me. I think that he is going to do very well. They're going to continue to feed him 16 carries in this day and age. In a passing league, even though Baltimore does run the ball a lot. I think Gus Edwards in his second contest back from the ACL, he will be force-fed the ball a lot. They will not pass to him, as we saw. He's not really the pass-catching back in this offense. Maybe Kenyon Drake does take more of that role, but Drake does get the high-risk play where Gus Edwards gets the low-risk play for me this week again. They love Gus Edwards. I don't know what it is about John Harbaugh. He loves himself some Gus Edwards, so you're definitely firing him up, and I think he's going to have a very decent day again against his Buccaneers defense that was, exposed just quite a bit against the Carolina Panthers last week to their running back. So I think Gus is an easy start this week once again. Rashad Bateman, he's on a mid-level risk. We got to see a little bit more out of Lamar Jackson feeding these wide receivers again. Started nicely at the beginning of the season. Yes, Bateman is also coming off that injury. He looked good. No worse for wear on that last contest. He is good to go again. Mid-level risk. I would also look in another direction before I fire him up this week. But I mean, if you have no choice, I get it. Not many buys, only the Chargers and the Chiefs on the bye week this week. So you shouldn't have to deal with bye week troubles. And if you have better options than a Rashad Bateman this week, I would definitely look in that direction, even though the Tampa Bay Buccaneers do have some injury issues on the defensive back end, including Antoine Winfield and Carlton Davis, if I'm not mistaken. Devin Duvernay, he does possess the TD upside this week because I think they're going to try to go deep once again. Try to establish, the deep shots to push and keep the defense honest while they don't stack those boxes. Get the stack boxes man, 47%? You got to be kidding me. You got to get that down. So Devin Duvernay, they got to start stretching that field a little bit. Keep those safeties back so they're not stacking the box. It'll only help Gus Edwards that much more. It'll also help Lamar Jackson. But Duvernay, he's been kind of quiet the last couple games. I would, caution starting his services again. We got to see the wide receivers in Baltimore get back to the good pedigree that we got, early on in the beginning of the season. Robinson, high-risk play. You're not playing him now that Bateman is back and Duvernay is the number 2. Mark Andrews is a low-risk play. I fully expect a massive bounce-back game from him. I would have given him the stud start, but I do want to see if the Buccaneers are going to piggyback off of what, the team did last week against the Ravens where they double and triple teamed him in those zones, and it made it very difficult for Lamar Jackson to find him in the open field. As for these Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Tommy touchdown. Not so much lately, and I mean, it's a very difficult situation when you see Tom Brady struggling that much. They lost 4 out of their last 5 games. They are slumping. They are not looking good. They are not looking efficient. Yes, that contest would have looked probably different if Mike Evans would have caught that deep, 75-yard touchdown that he dropped. We don't know. It's all speculation now, but I do believe that game would have been very much different if Evans didn't drop that pass. Everything just not going right. Nothing's working. Chemistry is not there. Scheme is horrible right now for the Buccaneers. Tom's just got to get out of his own way, but this is why it's good for Leonard Fournette. Tom gets the mid-level risk. If you want to play him, this could be a get-right game, but the Ravens defense does like to blitz. The offensive line does not look overly great at this point, so I got a mid-level risk on him. I want to see Tom break out of his funk just a little bit himself, just like we're talking about Lamar Jackson, but Tom Brady's in a different kind of funk that we haven't seen in a very long time. Leonard Fournette, like I said, low-risk play. He's going to give you the PPR upside because those checkdowns are always there, and if they don't stack the box in Baltimore, we might see some rushing upside. I doubt it. It's likely more in the pass game for Leonard Fournette as we move forward. Rachaad White, they keep continuously telling us that they're going to, give him more touches, give him more carries. just don't see enough to be fantasy viable at this point. 28 points, not near enough to get in your lineup. He is a high risk. You're not playing him this week. Mike Evans gets on the low risk level play once again this week. He should make up for where he dropped off last week. I do believe this is a almost a formality that Mike Evans should find his way into the end zone this week. It's been a couple, so he's itching to get back into that end zone, and I think he does this week as well. Chris Godwin, another low risk play. He's been very decent to get over that 10-point threshold. I think he has a decent day as well. I think these Buccaneers do find ways at home to start to figure out their upside passing game once again. Maybe the run game does get established, but they're not running the ball as much as we're used to seeing from old versions of Tampa Bay. So I think that Godwin and Evans, they're going to try to pass the ball quite a bit. I do like playing both of them this week, where Julio Jones is an injury risk. He will be a game-time decision. Like I said, Russell Gage is not in this contest, so that's why I'm putting low-risk level plays on Godwin and Evans, because I don't believe that Julio's going to play, and even if he does, he's likely going to be that decoy that you're not going to trust anyway. So, I mean, he's going to be, he's probably on the waiver in most of your leagues anyway, so you're not playing him. But Cade Otton does get a mid-level risk. Like I said, full PPR leagues, if you've been watching all the shows of Start Sit and Waiver Wire Advice, full PPR leagues, I don't mind starting a Cade Otton because, like I said, the PPR short pass upside for this man from Tom Brady, much like we're saying for a Leonard Fournette, it's very much similar for a Cade Otton, and you can, I don't want to say trust it, but you can actually utilize him if you streaming tight ends like I am. I stream and look for them all the time. So if you want a, sneaky play, maybe he gets his way into the end zone, that would be great. But I mean, 6 to 8 point floor for a tight end, and that's decent right now in half PPR leagues. You can't hate that whatsoever. But for the game prediction on Thursday Night Football, the Baltimore Ravens, I think they win this game. I think they get back in a good way. I think that Lamar Jackson's going to figure it out before Tom Brady does. I do not like what Tampa Bay is doing right now. This is something of a trap game. The the Buccaneers are favored by 2 points, so it is Baltimore +2 for me. But this is kind of a trap. You feel in the trap game a little bit. Tom Brady has not lost 3 in a row in God knows how long. That's why Vegas is putting it up to -2 for Tampa Bay at home. The travel, fine, we can argue that all day long, but these Baltimore Ravens have played well enough to at least, at the beginning, get big leads, and then the defense allows teams to claw back. But I am a little concerned with Lamar Jackson. I do want to see him play a little bit better. I'm extremely concerned with Tampa Bay's offense and how they're playing. That defense on the field, as much as they are and as good as they are, they cannot sustain being on the field as much as they were in that last contest. Losing a lot of key talents, like I said, Winfield and Davis, on this back end, it's going to open up lanes for Lamar Jackson. I completely see Lamar also taking off a lot in this game. He should get back in a very big way where I do see Tom Brady playing a much better game, and I do see him force-feeding Mike Evans a lot in this contest, but I do believe the Ravens will be too much, and I don't think that Tom Brady is what he used to be, I should say. But I think that the Baltimore Ravens do take this game 27-24, and it's not particularly close. I think Tampa Bay will claw back, but I do believe that the Baltimore Ravens will win this game on Thursday Night Football. So there you have it. That is Thursday Night Football between the Ravens and the Buccaneers. Should be an entertaining contest. I just want to see what Tampa Bay's got, because losing 4 out of 5, maybe they are just this bad, and everyone, it's on name cachet. You think it's Tom Brady, they're going to always compete, but right now they're not looking good, and the Ravens, I think this is a good get-right game for them on Thursday night. Yes, it's a short week. Yes, it's going to be likely ugly plays to start, but I think Lamar is going to be, up for the challenge, because he has not played up to par. But let's go Baltimore. Let's get that spread, and hopefully helped you guys out with your start sit advice. But nevertheless, as always, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, jump in those comments, and we'll see you next time. I am out.